What's up, SWOOD crew? We're back this week with a continuation of our last video, talking more about SWOOD frames. So in this video, what we're going to cover, we're going to go over adding some connectors, adding some SWOOD boxes to our SWOOD frame, controlling some parameters within our SWOOD frame, and then finally inserting it into our assembly, because that's the ultimate goal. Let's start off with adding connectors. And we're definitely going to dive into how to create these connectors. But I just want to show you guys like all the components that can be stored within your SWOOD frame. So if we jump over to our connectors tab, we could jump over here. A couple different options for dropping these in. I'm going to use this data with conformat example. So what you do, you can click on this here, drag it over. I don't want my holes to go through the whole panel here, so I actually want it to go through here. And as you can see, basically how this this connector works, there's a dado, or rabbet rather, and with this rabbet, there's little holes for conformat screws. And this ratio of conformat screws is actually good for me, and I already have this rabbet depth preset. But if I wanted to come in and control that, I can right click on this connector in my feature tree, click edit feature, and I have some options for controlling those. So if I wanted to increase the number of conformat screws I have, I could switch that to 4, and as you could see, that changes along with it. So I just want that to be 3. I already have my dado depth set, so we'll keep that as is. So yeah, that's one option for dropping in connectors. A second option, what you could do is right click and select insert connector. And how this interface works, basically we have little blue outlines. As you can see here, here's 1, here's 2, and here's a third. And there's actually a yellow little box here. So what all that means, blue means there's no connector present, and yellow means there is a connector present. And as you can see, there is, when I created that rabbet, I do get this doubled blue line, but I know that I already set a connector here, so I don't have to worry about that one. What I do want to do is I want to drop a connector for all 3 of these instances. So if I look at the feature tree over here, I have my connector set. It's a dado with conformat connector. And all I have to do is I'm going to click on this, and it's inserting a connector here. Click on this, inserting a connector here. Click on this, it's inserting a connector there. All 3 instances are selected. I'll go ahead and hit OK. Takes a second to load. And as you can see, all of those instances turn to yellow. And when I hit this green check mark for the second time, all 3 of those connectors will be added there. So yeah, pretty simple, nothing too crazy. And yeah, the SWOOD library, when you guys go ahead and download your library, you should have some default connectors. And in future videos, I will teach you guys how to create custom connectors specific to your needs. So yeah, connectors are in. Now what I want to do is I want to add a back. My back I'm using through a SWOOD box feature. So your frame can contain connectors, they can contain boxes. So what I'll do, I'll jump over to the SWOOD box library, and I have this 1/4 inch back feature here. So I'm going to go ahead, insert the SWOOD box, click it into my frame, and as you can see, all of those mates have been automatically assigned, and if I wanted to adjust that, I can. But everything looks to be in the right spot, so I'm not going to mess with it. I'll go ahead and hit this green checkbox. and when I turn my SWOOD frame around, my SWOOD box is now in place. Okay, so go ahead and save that. And lastly, I do want to drop in one more SWOOD box. This one's an adjustable shelves, or a series of adjustable shelves, because I'm going to be using it in the future to better explain my video. So I'm going to drop that in as well. So I'm coming over back to the SWOOD box library, come over to adjustable shelves, right click on that, insert SWOOD box, drop that in, and boom, I have my adjustable shelves. So cool. Yeah, we have our SWOOD frame, and yeah, this is just a couple of examples of things that can be inserted into a SWOOD frame, and then when I go to insert this into my overall assembly, all of those components are all going to be included. So what I was thinking of doing, instead of having all adjustable shelves in my frame, I was maybe thinking of doing was having a fixed shelf right down the middle and having adjustable shelves on this top sector and on this bottom sector. And I want to be able to control the height of that fixed shelf, and I want my adjustable shelves to be parametric to that. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that and a good way to control it easily. So what we'll do, we don't necessarily have to delete this adjustable shelf box just yet. We could if we wanted to, and we could just drop in another adjustable shelf SWOOD box. But in this case, I'm not going to worry about deleting features. I'm just going to suppress that. So as you could see, that those adjustable shelves disappeared, and when I suppress the SWOOD feature, the assembly also is suppressed. And now what I want to do, I want to insert that panel, that fixed shelf, going center of this cabinet. So what I'll do, I'll jump over to my panels library. I have this applied panel feature, and really it's just a panel. And I'll drop in a shelf. So I'll go ahead and I'll start mating those into place. And I want this one to go to the front, which I don't have shown here. There we go. And I don't necessarily want this center of the cabinet. I want to be able to have some parametric control on the height of this panel. So as of right now, I defined both the left side, right side, front, and back, but I'm not going to define it in the Z direction. I'm just going to leave that as is. So when I go ahead, confirm that, I have my panel. I'm going to apply the correct material to it. So I have that there, but this is still floating in space. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a plane from this bottom panel, and I'm going to give it just an arbitrary number, but I'm going to do something that allows me to control that parametrically. So we'll go ahead and create the plane. Just give it a random number. So right now it's at 0.1. Maybe we can make this, let's make it 36 inches. We'll hit OK. And what I want to do, I want to mate this plane, or actually this panel, the bottom of this panel, to this plane here. So I'll go ahead, click on the bottom of this panel, hold Control, click the plane, let go of Control, and I have some options for mating. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this coincident mate. So now that is mated in place. So sweet. So as of right now, how this is working, if I wanted to change the height of this panel, I could click on this plane one, right click on it, click edit feature, and just change that height manually. So if I wanted to change that to 48 and I go and rebuild that, that panel moves along with it. If I wanted to change that to 25, just the same, I rebuild, that panel moves along with it. That's cool and all, but I want a more centralized place to control that panel. So an option is what I could do. I can jump up to this File Properties button, click on this, and I can create a variable. I could name this fixed shelf. And maybe I could put from bottom in parentheses just to clarify where it's being controlled from. I'll make that a text, and what I can do, I can try to make this in a way that you guys can see that here. I can double click on this plane one, and I have this dimension that's referencing the height of that plane one. So if I click on that, I actually have to click here, and then I click on it, that value is kind of written out here. So I created a property called fixed shelf bottom. The type is a text, and the value text expression is basically just SOLIDWORKS speak referencing for this one dimension. So I'll hit OK. So now I could come over here and find this specific plane one throughout this whole list. Or I could go to my Edit Frame button, and when I created that variable in the File Properties, it becomes a parameter in my Edit Frame, which is super cool. So now I could change this to 48 here, and that changes there. I could change this to 36. And instead of hitting enter, what you could do is hit this rebuild so you don't like lose this little window. I'm like, okay, awesome, this is sweet. Cool, so now all I have to do is I need to fix my adjustable shelves so that way they're not going top to bottom, but rather being referenced from the top of this bottom panel and from the bottom of this shelf. So what I'll do, I'll unsuppress this. This is going to look weird because it's referencing the wrong thing. I'm going to come over and right click on this adjustable shelf, select edit feature, and I just need to reassign where this adjustable shelf is being controlled from. So there's two options to do that. I could right click on this button and select this X, and that deletes the mate. An easier option, what I like to do is there's a couple drop downs in your SWOOD box menu, and one of them is box. So I'll select that and I'll find the top reference, and I'll select that, and instead of having to delete that and drag it into place, I can just select there, select the bottom of the shelf, and yeah, that went ahead and changed that reference. So as you can see, the adjustable shelf is no longer going all the way to the top. It's just going to the bottom of that shelf. And for this, what I want to do, instead of having 4 adjustable shelves, I'm going to make this 2 instead. So yeah, when I go and rebuild that, that should be looking a little bit cleaner. So yeah, we have that there. And what we'll do, I want to insert more adjustable shelves on the top. So jump back over to my SWOOD box feature, right click on that adjustable shelf option, insert SWOOD box, and just drop that in right above that fixed shelf. When I hit select, it's probably going to come in as 4, and I'll come in, edit that, switch that to 2. Boom. So yeah, we have that there. And now, when I go to my edit frame, I can now adjust that fixed shelf value, and it will parametrically adjust the adjustable shelves with it. So if I wanted to make this instead 24, and that would be way smaller. Now the adjustable shelves on the bottom only span this far, and then the adjustable shelves on the top span a lot more. So like if for this example, I probably only have like one adjustable shelf below that fixed shelf, and then for the above, I could switch this to 3, just like so. Yeah, and there's to show some parametric control there. So cool. This SWOOD frame is looking the way that I want it to, and I'm going to go ahead and drop this into my assembly. I'm in my SWOOD frame library, and I'm actually editing this test ISO 2, as you can see here. So, a couple options for dropping in SWOOD frames. When I'm dropping in a SWOOD frame, I could drop it in, and it could be driven by a sketch, or it could be driven by my SWOOD frame little button up here. And depending on how I want to control it, I have to drop it in a specific way. So I have a couple sketches here, and maybe I'll just edit this sketch to make life a little bit easier. So let's go ahead and make this one 45 inches wide. 20 inches deep is totally fine. And we're going to need, I actually want to make this visible. And we're going to need a 3D sketch that is driving that. So I'll just make a new 3D sketch. Make it a line. And I'll use tab to change the plane which I'm referencing. So as you can see, you kind of have like a little origin here. So I want to make this go along Z and X. I'll drop that and I'll give it a dimension. So we'll make this, let's make it 70 inches. This is going to be a pretty tall cabinet, pretty huge cabinet, quite frankly. So when I right click this, select insert copy, this option is for mating this to a sketch, and this SWOOD frame is going to be referencing this sketch, and when I want to change the size of this cabinet, I'll have to change the dimensions for this sketch. So to do that, I have to basically define my origin, my width, depth, and height. So when I do that, origin is in the front left, so I'll click on that one here. Now it's asking for my X, which is basically width. So I'll click on this button here, or this little dot here. Now it's asking for Y, which is depth. So I'll select this one here. And then finally my Z, which is height. And I'll select that there. So as you can see, all of my points are referenced in space. I'll hit this green check mark. And yeah, there is my SWOOD frame. So yeah, I could still use my edit frame on my SWOOD frame, and to do that, all you have to do is click on one panel from that frame that you want to reference and select, well actually, no, you have to select the whole subassembly. So you select subassembly, then select edit frame. And as you can see, that same parameter that we created, that fixed shelf, I can still control here. So if I wanted to switch that to 36, my box adjusts with that. So cool. We have one option to do that there. Another option which I can do is I can find the SWOOD frame that I want to drag into space. And this is important. You have to make sure that you hold Control and drag that SWOOD frame into your assembly. So that way it creates a copy of that SWOOD frame. So I'll do that now. So I'll select it, drag it in, drop it into place, and now this is a copy of my original SWOOD frame. If you don't do the Control, click, and drag and drop, and you just click and drop it in, it actually won't be a copy of your original SWOOD frame. It'll be the original SWOOD frame in your assembly. So you have to be really careful. And what I mean by that, like, if I were to make any changes to this SWOOD frame, like let's say I'm going to edit this top part, and I'm going to put a hole right through the top of it. Do an extrude cut through all. I go ahead and save this. And I go to the original. That hole in the top isn't going to be there. And the reason being, I did that Control, Select, Drag and Drop. Now, if I come in and I just dragged the assembly, drop it in, this is technically not a copy. So if I did the exact same thing, come over, do a sketch, and you know what, I have to edit the part, yep, do a sketch, and do an extrude cut through this whole thing, save that. When I go back, which I can't even do because I have the assembly here, but let's say I close out of this assembly, come in to edit this one, that hole is going to be there, which we don't want, pretty much never. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and, what's the best way to go about this? I'll just delete this machining here. Delete the sketch also. We'll save this as is. We'll open back up that other assembly. And when I do that, this hole should go away. And then we just want to delete this out of this assembly because it is an original copy, not a copy. Okay, so now we just need to figure out how to make this in place because my SWOOD frame that I inserted a copy and defined with our sketch, this is actually fixed into place. Like I can't move any of the components on this assembly, and if I wanted to change the size of that frame, I would do that within the sketch. Whereas this one, I'm actually going to change the size and change its mates manually using SOLIDWORKS techniques. So let's say I want this frame to butt right up against this other cabinet. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select, since this is the back, and a good option for this, if I want to like be looking at this forward, you can right click and you can select Move with Triad. And this gives me the option to like kind of orient my sub-assembly in a way that's workable for me. And sometimes you have to be careful with the perspective because I thought I was right next to that other box and it wasn't. Okay, so we got this mostly in the right spot. So now we're going to add some mates. So we have this left panel and we want this mated up against the right panel for this cabinet. So what we'll do, we'll click on this one, hold Control, select that one, select coincident mate, and now those two are mated into place. So now that those two are mated into place, maybe we can mate both the fronts. I'll do a plane off of this back wall, and then we will use this sketch here. And I just want this, I want this to be parallel, but I want it to be coincident with that line sketch. So as you can see there, that plane is oriented into space. So now I want the front of my subassembly for this frame to be mated with the front of that plane being driven by my overall project assembly. So now that my my Y direction is now made into space, now I need to mate my Z direction. And this one's pretty easy. I can just select the bottom of this panel, select the bottom of the floor, or the top of the floor, and select coincident mate once again. So now when I look down, my assembly is fully defined. I can't move any of the components for that. But now I want to change the height. Now I want to make the height of this cabinet equal with the height of this one. So I'm just going to double check with, and I actually don't have to double check. I could select subassembly, edit frame, and I could see that the height of this cabinet is 70 inches. So let's make this one just the same. So select, right click, select subassembly, select this subassembly, select edit frame, and let's make this 70. So now when I do that, my assembly is now the same height, or my cabinet is now the same height as its neighboring cabinet. And within that edit frame button, I still have control to adjust that fixed shelf, and I can make this 36 if I wanted to. And now those are aligned exactly the same. So yeah, there's an overview of basically the components that can be inserted into a SWOOD frame, how to control your SWOOD frame once they're in your project assembly. So hopefully you guys can use some of those tools to start building your own SWOOD frames and assembling those. Thank you for tuning in this week, and I will catch you guys for the next one. Thank you.